तब उसके बाद
Hello everyone, I am Dimple Sangvi and I have Mr. KSN Murthy with me. Welcome to our new web video series, which will cover the guide to mastering Lean Six Sigma, cost cutting, and project management. Whether you are aiming for your green belt or a black belt certification, or you represent an MSME in India seeking to enhance efficiency and profitability, these series are tailor-made for you. In today's dynamic business world, the ability to optimize process, eliminate waste is paramount importance. Lean Six Sigma offers powerful methodologies to achieve this. Cost cutting is just not about reducing expenses. It is about making smart financial decisions that can drive growth for your business. Effective project management is a cornerstone for successful endeavors. Join us as we break down these critical concepts into bite-sized actionable insights. By the end of this series, you will have knowledge and tools to excel in Lean Six Sigma, master cost-effective strategies, and lead projects to success. Let's dive in and supercharge your skills. Over to you, Mr. Murthy. You can ask me questions.
Thank you, Dimple, and very proud to be part of this discussion. So, as everybody knows that just attending the training doesn't make a very big skill enhancement exercise. It follows with a lot of Q&A, and people need to understand the story behind the scene, because that is very, very important. So the purpose of this session is only to make more awareness about in and around the Lean Six Sigma tools and other things. So that's why let's go with some of the questions that the audience may have on the Lean and Six Sigma vertical. So let's start with some of the questions that I have, and let me ask with a question number one. Dimple, are you okay?
Yes, I'm ready.
Thank you, Dimple. And maybe good for the benefit of all, particularly to attack even the MSME vertical. So some of the times I may ask my questions or clarifications in Hindi. Hope you are comfortable with that.
Yes, I'm comfortable.
Thank you, Dimple. Very nice. So for my first question, Dimple, goes to you regarding, imagine I have because I have a lot of experience, corporate experience, and I have a lot of gut feeling. I come with a global experience, another thing, and I have a gut feeling that a particular thing can be a project, just as an assumption, and a gut feeling with an assumption. Can I start with that gut feeling and assumption as a project in Lean Six Sigma?
No, that's not the correct approach. Lean Six Sigma is about a data door approach. So you should be actually capturing your voice of customer and listening to it. That is your customer happy or they are dissatisfied with some things. Those metrics can be qualitative or quantitative because a customer always speaks in a natural language. As a Six Sigma professional, you will convert that into CTQ, which will make it measurable, and you should be picking up that as a project rather than going with what your gut feels over here.
Oh, so Dimple, you said my experience and gut feeling doesn't work for start the project. Thank you. Understood. Thank you. My next question is, because a lot of time I get confused, or people get confused with a problem and an opportunity. Really, I want to understand what is the difference between a problem and an opportunity.
Okay, so let me first explain what is a problem. So if I have to give it as per the definition, problem is the gap between what the customer wants and what you are performing. So if I say on my website that I will take 7 days to deliver a product to you, and I am taking 10 days to deliver the product to you, then there is definitely a problem in my business. An opportunity is that I am doing well. My website says I will deliver it in 7 days. I am delivering it in 6 or 7 days, well within my specification limit. But I have a competitor who is delivering it in 4 days, or I have people who are my customers who have an expectation that if I would get this in 4 days, then it would be good. Otherwise, I'm also okay with 7. So opportunity is that I'm doing really well, but there is still a scope of improvement. And that's how the industry is currently working. We are finding a continuous improvement across all products in all the industries.
So good. So you are saying that it is not only a mandatory to start a project with only a problem, but we can also have an opportunity statement. So there is nothing called a problem statement, but an opportunity statement also can be a project to start with. Thank you,
Yes.
Dimple.
So I can
Okay,
just give you a small example over here. We all
yes.
were having Airtel, Vodafone, and Idea connections earlier. We were happy to pay 1,000 rupees for 2 GB data in a month. All the customers were happy. Those businesses were thriving well because the customers were paying, they were getting what they wanted. Reliance had come up with this concept that there's an opportunity in this space. What if I can charge only for data and make the calling free? They came up with this concept, and today that was an opportunity for Reliance Jio, but has become a mandatory for Airtel to survive. And we see that today Idea and Vodafone are really struggling to survive. So in this, that is why we call this as a continuous improvement culture. No matter which industry you come from, there is always a scope for continuous improvement.
Thank you, Dimple. Understood. Very clear. Now, how can I say which project is good project for a Lean Six Sigma?
Okay, so there are some project selection techniques that we follow if you want to go with a tool-based approach. Otherwise, what is more important is I have a problem. The customer is saying that I'm not happy with your product or service. I need to attack it. I don't know the solution. I can collect the data or I already have data. Currently, we are in an information age. So when I started my Lean Six Sigma journey before 25 years, we used to sit and collect data. We used to tell the team that now please collect data for 30 days. Currently, data is getting captured everywhere. So starting a Lean Six Sigma project in today's generation is very easy because you have data which can back up what the customer wants. Are you able to meet them? Is there an opportunity for improvement? And I don't know the solution to that problem. I need to figure out what could be the best way to provide this product or service or meet this customer expectation. Then I can pick that up as a project.
Good. Thank you, Dimple. So, I don't know, but with my experience, what I found is whenever we talk about a Six Sigma, people say, come on, KSN, data, because it's a very tough task. So, is a thorough data analysis is a prerequisite for a successful Six Sigma project?
So we have two approaches when you're doing Lean Six Sigma. It's a process door approach and a data door approach. So if I'm in a manufacturing setup, I don't have a lot of data, but basic data is always there. And I want to take a lean approach, I can follow a lean approach. If I have data, then I can go with a data door approach. But marrying both of them is going to give you immense benefit. Today, you feel that there is a lot, or why should I make a note of all the expenses that I'm making at home? But I will give you a simple tip. Start writing down all the sources of income you have and all the sources of expenses you have. And come back to me after a year. You will find that your financial situation is much better than what it is today. So what gets measured gets improved.
Thank you, Dimple. Yes.
Yes, we can go to the next question.
Good. Thank you, Dimple. So I think, yeah, we sorted a lot of questions, but now from my community, from my known community, people ask a lot of questions around the Lean Six Sigma and other things. So I picked a few questions and trying to ask on that, and let's see. So in my 30 years of experience in the Lean Six Sigma and all these verticals, I learned a lot on various tools and other things. And I also know that Six Sigma, the Lean Six Sigma is like an ocean. We have a lot of tools and techniques. My question to you is, with so many tools or techniques that we learned in Lean and Six Sigma, is it mandatory that we need to use all tools in the project, to complete a successful project?
No, we are teaching you a lot of tools during our DMAIC technique. If you are doing a green belt, we also cover DOE when I'm teaching you black belt. But practically, out of my experience, we have hardly used DOE in the real world. We don't want to force fit the two. So I can give you an analogy. My mother is little sick. She's just having a little temperature, and I take her to the doctor. The doctor looks at her and says, I have recently bought MRI machine. I've bought a CT scan machine. I've bought an X-ray machine. So please, let's get all the tests done for your mother. I know she just has a fever, but let's get all the tests because I have all the tools. So it is like being like that doctor who wants to use all the tools because he bought it. So we don't have to force it. If she's having temperature, put the thermometer. Our basic blood test will help you do the root cause analysis for her sickness. So I hope that
Very nice.
example helps.
Yeah. So I don't know. Somewhere in my past, one of my colleague mentioned, a fool with a tool is still a fool. I remember that now.
Yes.
Yes. So having a tool doesn't mean that you have to use. You need to know where to use as well. So thank
Yeah.
you, Dimple. It's a very nice. Thank you. Now, associated with the problem again. Now, there are scenarios like we come with a lot of problems, and it's a too dynamic world. Every day things get changed. Another thing. Now, will there be any scenario like, for example, today I started one project, and then I realized that there is some problem, and suddenly I need to change my problem in the project. So is it possible in the charter?
Yes, your problem statement can change. If you have heard this word, project charter is a live document and DMAC is an iterative process. So you would see that when we are showing you the DMAC during our training, we show that it's a circle. So after define, I get into measure. During the measure phase, when I collect data, I realize, oh, the problem is more big than I thought. No, the problem is not a problem at all. So then you have to go back and change your chart. Third thing that can happen is, as I said, you dive into the measure phase, you think it's a problem and it's not a problem at all. So you might decide to discontinue your project and pick up a new project which you would have identified during your data collection plan. So sometimes what happens is you're trying to understand one metric. You find that that metric is working fine, but there is another metric in your company which is not working fine. So then you might change your project statement and go ahead, brainstorm with your stakeholders, your business owners, and say that, sir, we are thinking that metric A is efficiency is a problem, let's say, or turnaround time is a problem. But when I collected the data with enough sample size, I found that it's a minor problem. We don't need to do a big Six Sigma project. It's a just do it project. But I found something else. Okay.
Thank you, Dimple. It's a very nice interaction. I think it's make things getting little there's more clarified. Good. Now, we all know that what has to happen in each phase, and in define phase we understood this is what we need to happen, and define phase is all about understanding what is the pain. Now my question is around what can go wrong in the define phase.
Okay, so one of the key things during the define phase is the 3 elements of your project chart: your business case, your problem statement, and your goal statement. These 3 blocks of your project charter should be speaking about the same thing.
Okay.
Right? So the business case, the problem statement, and the goal statement should be talking about, they should be linked to each other.
Okay.
We should not be talking the solutions of the project. It does not mean that I know the solution, but I'm not writing. Remember this, people do this mistake. They know the project, they know the solution, and then they retrofit the project. That's wrong. So if you know the solution to your project, please go ahead and fix that project problem using the solution you know. But what Lean Six Sigma says are out of my experience also. If I'm going to ask you a sentence, that, Mr. Murthy, I want to go from Hyderabad to Delhi by flight. Now, it's like I'm giving you a problem statement that I want to go from Hyderabad to Delhi, but I'm also giving you a solution by flight. Then you are only going to go to the websites like Make My Trip, Go, Ibibo, etc. to book a flight ticket for me. But if I say that I want to go from Hyderabad to Delhi, what could be the different options? I don't have constraint of time and money. Then you might say that if you don't have constraint of money, go ahead, pick a charter plane. If you don't have constraint of time, I think you should book a Rajdhani. And different options are you can drive if you love driving, go by car. So I'm getting multiple options when I'm not restricting or telling the answers. So just because what happens is we become like that horse who is keeping a blindfold. I want to solve this problem using this technique only. Many times I find people saying that this is my process. I want to automate the process. Go ahead and automate it. Put an RPA in place. Then why do a Lean Six Sigma? Why trouble yourself with all the analysis and paralysis?
So what we are saying is basically don't selecting a wrong project or selecting a wrong problem statement itself is basically that something that can go wrong in the define phase. Am I correct, Dimple?
Yes, you might pick up something which is very easy to, I think I can solve this as I can, y is a function of x. I'm picking up an easy x because I'm more comfortable working with this x. Or I'm picking up something which is easy to solve because I want to get a certificate. Is it important for your stakeholder? Is it giving him a sleepless night? Then that's a very good project to pick up. Because the minute you pick up the project and you tell your stakeholder, I'm working on this metric, and he says, thank you for picking this project because I have not been able to sleep for the last few days because of this problem, which is constantly troubling me. You have picked a right project. If you pick a project and he says, okay, I don't care whether you do this project or not, you just want me to sign it off, I'll sign it off, then it's not an important thing for you. You don't have the commitment from your senior management. So when you don't have the commitment from your senior management, it's not worth investing your time and effort in doing this project.
So what you are saying is basically in the define phase, particularly we need to put focus on the prioritization, importance, and the key is it a tough problem to solve or very easy to attack? So I can understand in Hindi, I always remember one saying, Chidiya pe Brahmastra mat dalo. So I agree.
Correct.
So
I totally
sometimes it
agree.
look like so it's like sometimes it's a very small problem. You don't need a Lean Six Sigma because you can't afford it. Maybe it may not worth to invest a Lean Six Sigma type of scenario on something, a small problem which can be easily resolved. Good, understood. Thank you again, Dimple. Nice, thank you. Now, what is the prerequisite for I know that basically after define, we need to start young. Now, I know that basically you need to close certain things to enter into the next phase. Now, what is that the user need to have it in mind that before he moved to a measure phase, what is that he's supposed to close in the define phase? Basically, if I ask, it looks like my question is too long, but what I can say is, what are the prerequisite for the measure phase?
You need to get your defined toll gate signed off.
Oh, that's it. Your answer is much smaller than my question itself. Thank you.
Yeah,
This
because
will look
what
like
we do
at
is
all.
we start working without getting the approval from our stakeholders. So I don't have an agreement with my boss telling that I should be working on this primary metric. I don't have a sign off from him. And after working for 6 months, I say that, oh, my boss is not supporting me on this project. So the simple thing is I always say your defined phase should not take more than weeks time. So within a week, the minute you identify a project, put your charter, SIPOC, and CTQ in place and book an appointment with your stakeholders, your champions, and get them to sign that, yes, I support you in this project. Don't invest a lot of effort before you get into the measure phase.
Good. Thank you. So that is the case. Now, one more thing, because if you understand the problem, half of the issue is solved. That's what normally we say. Now, we always talk about metrics, measures, and there's a lot of confusing world for most of the people. That's why most of the people get worried about implementing Six Sigma in their organization and other things, particularly at MSME sector. They think it's like a rocket science for them. Now, we want to make it life simple for them. So now my question is, how do they understand what is the difference between a primary metric and a secondary metric and what they should attack?
Okay. So primary metric is the main metric which you want to fix, which you have got from your VOC.
Okay.
Okay. So secondary metric is something which you want to protect. So for example, I want to improve the efficiency of my process. That's my primary metric. But in the process of making my efficiency go from 80 to 100 or 100%, I go ahead and make it mandatory for my employees to come for 12 hours in a day or 16 hours a day. I'm taking a work-life balance for a toss. Then I'm gone. I have failed. So attack the primary problem, fix the primary metric, and ensure that your secondary metric is also protected.
So at what we are saying protected means basically what we are saying is even though the secondary metric does not improve in trend, but at least we need to make sure it maintains the status quo.
Yes.
Is it the case, Dimple?
Yes, yes. So I'm thinking about improving the efficiency, but I say that, okay, the alternate could be cost. I say, I want to invest double the resources and get the high-tech machineries and let the cost be 2 million. Then the efficiency is gone for a toss. So your primary metric has improved, but your secondary metric has died.
So naturally what? If
the project
secondary metric is gone. That's what my next question is. So it means that if secondary metric is gone for the task, your project is basically not a correct project to sign off. Good, thank you. Okay. Now, if that is the case, now on a primary metric, as I understood that is what I want to improve. Can I consider or can a user consider taking manpower reduction as a primary metric? The reason is I know that not only in India, but multiple countries I visited and I found that everybody says, oh, come on, lean is nothing but manpower reduction. So can I put manpower reduction as a primary metric in the project metric?
No,
primary
it's
metric.
An outcome of your project. Your primary metric would be efficiency or any of the quality things like cost reduction, revenue increase, profitability increase, customer satisfaction. Those are the metrics which you'll be working on. As an outcome, FTE reduction or people reduction can be there because you have applied lean, reduce the effort it takes to do the work. You now require less people to do the work, and then you are redeploying these people in other operation process. You're not releasing it. Remember, lean doesn't mean about hiring and firing. So I'm hiring a black belt to fire few common men. That's not the concept of Lean Six Sigma. In fact, you should be reusing the skills because your company has already invested a lot in these employees. You should reuse them in other departments to launch new product, new service, or provide more customer base. Earlier, you were only doing for tier 2 cities. Now target to go to tier 3 cities. I hope I answered.
So it means basically we don't put them as a part of the primary metric, but if through efficiency, if we can get some efficiencies as a FTE reduction, then we can think of.
Yes.
Good. Okay. So we don't do projects for FTE reduction. That's not our job.
Yes. So I do project for, let's say I go to gym or I go for my yoga classes. My thing is that, okay, my primary metric was to reduce the weight or reduce the inches. As an outcome of it, I'm getting a better health. Right? Now I'm able to climb a mountain. So so FT reduction would be a byproduct of your exercise that you are doing.
Perfect. Done. So sure. So we need to ensure that as part of the project charter, we should not. So it is a remembrance for even for the with the sponsor who signs off the charter saying if somebody puts as a primary metric as the FTE reduction or the manpower reduction, the sponsor also question him directly.
He's going in a wrong direction.
Thank you.
Okay. So a request to all the participants, if you have liked the way we are doing our rapid fire session, please like and share this video with maximum number of people in the community who are targeting to get Lean Six Sigma certified. The last word Mr. Murthy used was about the champion being aware of what they should be asking before the sign off. We have a separate episode for the project champion of what he needs to take care of in the project charter before he signs it off. So for today, we are stopping over here, but this series will continue. So keep looking into our space. We will be coming up with more questions in each of the phases of our DMAC life cycle of Lean Six Sigma. It has been a pleasure interacting with you, Mr. Murthy, and I think all our audience have learned a lot. Still, there are a lot of questions relating to the defined phase or the project identification, which are pending, I guess, in his book. So we will continue as part of the part 2 of this episode. Thank you. See you in the next lesson.
Thank you, Dimple.